boys and girls. This is Miss Stephanie. Welcome to my kitchen. I really miss working with you guys in the classroom, but I thought I'd take the chance to record a short video today to show you the 2 experiments that you can do with things that you already have at home in your kitchen. These 2 experiments are meant to teach you about heat and temperature. Remember that heat is a type of energy that increases when something gets warmer. Temperature is related to heat, but temperature is something that you measure with a thermometer that tells you how hot or cold something is. Let's start by thinking about a question. Which one has more energy? A room full of children sitting on a carpet, or a room full of children moving around and bouncing off the walls? What do you think? That's right. The room with children bouncing off the walls has more energy. And heat works in exactly the same way. So, all things are made up of particles, and these particles are constantly moving. When something is hot, the particles are moving around quickly. That thing has more energy. It's like a room full of children moving around and bouncing off the walls. When something is cold, the particles move slowly. It doesn't have a lot of energy. It's like a room full of children sitting on a carpet. Now, these 2 experiments will allow you to see what this looks like. Let's take a look. Our first experiment is called moving molecules. In this experiment, you'll drop food coloring into hot and cold water, and you'll watch how the temperature of the water affects how the food coloring spreads. For this experiment, you'll need 2 clear cups, food coloring, a thermometer if you want to measure the temperature of your water, and water. All right, I'm going to show you how it works.
Before you begin, please draw what you think is going to happen on the results paper. Then prepare your cups of hot and cold water. I cooled my water down by adding some ice cubes. You can put a finger over the mouth of your glass to keep your ice cubes from getting into your cup. Getting ice cubes in the cup will mess up your data. If you would like, you may measure the temperature of each glass. I'm going to put my thermometer in the glass of cold water to begin to measure the temperature. Remember, you need to give your thermometer a few minutes to adjust to the temperature in your glass. While my thermometer is measuring the temperature, I'm going to pour my warm water into the other glass. I warm this up by just pulling warm water from the tap. Brrr! My cold water is 42 degrees. Let's measure the temperature of my warm water. Wow, my warm water is 153 degrees. Now that I've measured the temperature, I'll open up my food coloring and put 1 drop in each glass. Now your job is to simply observe how the food coloring spreads out in 2 different temperature water. Does it spread more quickly in one, more slowly in the other? Do you notice if the food coloring drops straight down or spirals? What other things do you notice? Does it spread along the bottom, the top, throughout? These are all sorts of different things that you can pay close attention to in your experiment. Once your food coloring has finished spreading out, you can draw what happened on your results paper. If you would like to do this experiment again, or maybe extend it, you could add a 3rd glass of water with room temperature water and repeat the steps again to see what happens. I hope you enjoy this experiment.
Please pause the video if you want to do this at home. If you don't have the supplies to do it at home, you can keep watching to see what happened when I did it.
Next experiment is called expanding air. And this experiment will inflate a balloon by changing the temperature of the air inside a plastic bottle. For this experiment, you'll need a plastic bottle, a large bowl, a balloon, and warm water. Stay tuned. You'll want to start this experiment by taking your empty plastic bottle and putting it in the freezer for 1 hour. While you're waiting for your bottle to get cold, you can draw what you think is going to happen. After an hour, you can take your plastic bottle out of the freezer. Pour some of your warm water into the bottom of your bowl. Steamy! And stretch your balloon over the top of your bottle. When I did this at home, I learned that it was best to blow up the balloon once before doing this experiment. That way the balloon was stretched out and ready to inflate. Then, place your bottle in the warm water.
Please pause the video if you want to do this at home. If you don't have the supplies to do it at home, you can keep watching to see what happened when I did it.
Observe what happens. As you're waiting, you can pour warm water along the sides of the bottle to help your experiment go faster. As you can see, my balloon is inflating as I pour warm water onto the bottle. Why do you think this is happening? Make sure when you draw what happened that your drawing is neat and clear so I can tell what you saw. If you want to take your experiment a step farther, maybe you could put your plastic bottle and balloon back in the freezer and see what happens. I hope you enjoyed this experiment if you tried it at home. Thank you for joining me for some kitchen science. Remember, these two experiments were all about heat. Heat is a type of energy that increases when things get warmer. Temperature is related to heat, but temperature is something you measure with a thermometer. Now, let's talk a little bit about the results you got from your experiments. In the first experiment, we put food coloring into hot water and cold water and watched it spread. What did you see? When I did this at home, I saw that the food coloring spread much more quickly in the hot water, and the food coloring kind of sunk to the bottom. It didn't spread very well in the cold water. Now, remember that the particles inside the water are moving, and in the hot water, the particles are moving fast. In the cold water, the particles are moving slow. Now, do you know why the food coloring spread better in the hot water? Good. In the second experiment, we changed the temperature of the air inside of a plastic bottle to inflate a balloon. Now, when we put the plastic bottle in the freezer, the air inside the bottle got cold. And remember, the particles in cold air move slowly. Then we took the bottle out of the freezer and put a balloon over the top. Then we put the bottle in warm water. This warmed up the air inside of the bottle. This made the particles move more quickly. Now do you know how we inflated the balloon? That's right. When the particles warmed up and started moving quicker, they spread out and blew the balloon up. Pretty cool, right? You might be wondering why knowing about heat is important. Well, heat is vital to all living things. In fact, if we didn't know anything about heat, we wouldn't know how animals, like people, turn their food into energy. We wouldn't know how to keep plants alive in a greenhouse, and we surely wouldn't know what to wear when we're out in the wilderness to stay warm. Thank you for joining me. I hope you had fun. Happy sciencing.